Welcome to Alberta Conservation Association's Harvest Your Own podcast, the resource for everything hunting, navigating through the field, the butcher shop, and the kitchen. Life is all about great food. Let's get started.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Brad Fenson, an avid outdoor enthusiast who has worked as a freelance journalist, photographer, and public speaker for over 3 decades. I have hunted, fished, and foraged all my life and hope to share my passion for the outdoors. Along the way, I want to encourage everyone to harvest wild proteins and enjoy the satisfaction of providing the next meal for your family. Our goal is to educate, entertain, and inspire individuals to get outdoors and create a connection between food, health, and your future meals. Welcome to Harvest Your Own. Today we got a special guest that could only be described as extremely busy in life, and that is by choice. Welcome to the show, Cathy Wolf.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you kind of stand out in social media, and I've talked with other friends about you. You're a wife, a mother, a worker. You guys own an outfitting business, but to say you're busy is an understatement.
Yeah. I don't stay still very long, that's for sure. You won't find me in the same spot twice.
Yeah, I always say that the world is run by those that show up.
Right?
Isn't it true
Exactly.
some days? Yeah.
They show up, you get out, you do stuff. That's where the world is run by. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's funny how we get there in life. You know, experience is probably the best prod that we could ever have.
Oh, it's a huge flex. The experience that you get can only keep growing and help you in learning other aspects. There's so much experience that you can gain and knowledge, and then you can share it with somebody else who might be looking for something in that maybe are struggling in a certain aspect that you have experience and knowledge in.
Absolutely, and I see that within yourself, a huge mentor, not only with your family and your kids, but within the community, the province, and beyond.
I do what I can. I'm only one person. But I do try to reach out as much as we can, hosting range days, taking that scary away, introducing women and youth to a variety of firearms in a safe environment is awesome, and seeing them succeed and overcome that fear is amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
It really is. It's fun to be part of.
Mm-hmm. It is. And then when you watch them take that next step, so you've seen them learn how to handle a firearm, how to fire that firearm, and then you follow the steps and you take them out into the bush and the field and you see them catch that fish for the first time, or you see them shoot their first big game animal. The excitement that's there, if you ever lose that excitement, honestly, you should just hang up your rifle, because I think that's just amazing.
It is, and I find that the more you do, the more it inspires you to get out there and do more of it or create bigger dreams.
Exactly. Keep climbing that next hill, set that next goal, never settle. Maybe it's even just taking it and learning some new fundamentals, learning long range, rebuilding that foundation that you have for yourself for shooting or hunting.
Absolutely. You know, I normally start the show by having the guests tell me a little bit about themselves, but this kind of morphed right into, wow, look at all that we can do and then what you do and how we help others. So we know a little bit about Cathy Wolf, but I do need to ask you about your Facebook handle, She Wolf. Now, you married into the Wolf, should I say family or clan? And does that give you the She Alpha title, or were you always in the alpha position before you even got married?
Well, I like to say I was always in the alpha position. But definitely after I married into the Wolf pack, however, clan, name, family, insert definition here, it's definitely taken over a lot of things, going into identifying a lot of it. There's no time to be meek and mild when you hang out with the wolf. So
there you go.
It kind of morphed into that. It was, all right, now you're the she alpha and get her done.
I must say that following you on social media, that the handle fits.
Well, thank you.
And that is, that's very positive. I love the things that you do and the way you reach out to help people. And it really is an alpha position where you've not only taken the position, but the opportunity to help others.
Yeah, I love being a resource for other women and youth in this industry, in the outdoors. When I first started, women weren't a very big footprint. They were the ones that went out with their husband or their dad, but they never were a footprint that did it by themselves. And it was intimidating. It's intimidating being in a male-dominated field, and being able to be out there and be a resource for women and be very vocal about the fact that, hey, we can do it too, is huge.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I'm not sure if it was roles from previous generations that created the male-dominated impression about hunting, because there's lots of room for females and they can do things as well as any male.
Yeah, it's just, I don't think it was ever, it could have been previous generations. It could have just been the way things were. I know there was females that did hunt in previous generations too. I think it was just more geared towards men. Men were more vocal about being in that role, in that industry side of things. And women just kind of were like, oh yeah, me too. And now women they're standing up. They're making you listen. I am here. Hear me roar. Stand back. We're taking over. So
absolutely, they're the fastest growing part of the hunting community in North America, and
which is amazing.
It is, and especially in Alberta. Alberta has some of the highest hunter recruitment of women and youth in North America, which is pretty exciting.
It's very exciting. I'm excited for where it's going to go, how it's going to keep growing, how we're going to gear about it. Gear itself, like getting actual rifles that are made specifically for a woman. When I first started hunting, I got a 25W SSM. It fit me. It was a short rifle. But when I wanted to go up and get a higher caliber, it was heavy. It was big. The trigger pull was just that little bit too far that was uncomfortable to actually shoot. And now, and camo, camo just doesn't fit women. We are not made the same as men.
Not at all.
And now there's so many different resources out there that are awesome, that are actually like, hey, we recognize that women are different than men. Youth are different than men. Let's figure that out. Let's get some gear for them and outfit them out there so they're comfortable and they want to keep going.
That's a big part of the equation, is being comfortable. And whether it's your clothing, your boots, your firearms, or any of the accessories that are geared for you, having them fit properly and making sure that you're comfortable and can do things, properly, accurately, whether you're hunting, fishing, whatever, it makes a big difference. So there are more and more companies all the time catering. Shouldn't say catering, but how about specializing in women's outdoor gear? And a lot of it is women helping women. I know several ladies that have started their own companies to address the problem of clothing in the outdoors for all types of women.
Absolutely. And that's just it. Women come in all shapes and sizes just like men do, right? So we're not all the perfect hourglass figure. We're not all super tall. We're not all really short. So having that variety that can adapt to multiple women at once would be awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
This podcast is produced for Harvest Your Own, a program dedicated to those who want to reconnect with food and health through their experiences outdoors. HarvestYourOwn.ca is a resource for individuals to learn more about hunting and the outdoors. There's information to get you started and ensure that your compass stays pointed in the right direction to be successful. Where's your next meal coming from?
Taking a step back, have you always been a hunter, or is it something you married into?
Haven't always been a hunter. It's always like when I grew up I was always around it. Good family friends hunted heavily. I was more on the agriculture side. I grew up on a Black Angus farm, And then when I married Byron, it was, you want to spend time with me? You're coming out in the bush. And I was like, okay, challenge accepted. And I went from having that challenge accepted to overtaking and being, okay, I'm going to shoot the bigger deer. I'm going to catch that bigger fish. I'm going to spend more time out there. So.
And thus She Alpha.
And that's She Alpha, and hence She Alpha was born and took over. And we're not competitive in my house at all, but we do have a big buck wall.
That's pretty awesome. Now, did you grow up in a hunting family, or was it strictly agriculture?
Agriculture.
Okay. So your first impressions or your first introductions to hunting came as a young adult.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you've come a long ways, but you're living proof that, you know what, the learning curve does not need to be long in order to step in here and get acquainted with things, get comfortable. Probably some of the best advice you can give is making sure you have the right stuff that we talked about: clothing, firearms, everything that fits properly, and that you can use it and handle it without any worries about things.
Absolutely. And ask questions. It's intimidating to ask some of the questions to some of the people. I do know that. You don't want to seem like you're silly questions, right? Like common sense questions when it's something you honestly don't know. But ask the questions, because that some people might be like, oh, right, I forgot to explain that you skin an animal this way, or you hold your knife this way. That's one thing I learned teaching some youth how to actually process their own animal. They didn't even know how to hold a knife. Something I totally took for granted, because that's just something you do automatically.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that are taken for granted. You know, I'm supposedly a firearm expert, and when I go out and get to try new guns, I have no qualms about saying, okay, this is a little bit different. Tell me how it operates. You know, tell me how to load it, take the safety off, and shoot it. Because there are different operation manuals for different equipment, which includes firearms. So knowing it before I actually load it and try it is really important to me. Mentally knowing that things are safe and that I'm safe and everything's going to work properly and that I can use it to its fullest function is always important. So there are no dumb questions.
No, and it's building that confidence. If you're second guessing yourself on anything, how to tie that hook, how to pull that trigger, how to load the gun, how to track that animal, anything on that side of it, if you're second guessing yourself, you don't have the confidence out there, and that's when mistakes are going to happen and you're not going to be safe out there. So to be safe, ask the question.
And it's interesting, a lot of times for myself, when I ask the question, other people around me all of a sudden ask questions. It's like, oh, you know.
Right? You trigger that thing. Like everybody's like, oh, I'm just stepping back on this. But like, oh, wait a minute.
Right.
You know, I don't quite understand this. So being able to be that bigger person and be like, hey, this doesn't make sense to me is huge to everybody.
Yeah. Instead of being timid and worrying about looking bad, think of it as knowledge is power. So the more you're informed and the more you know about everything you're dealing with, the more powerful you are to be successful.
Exactly. And never stop learning. Never be, oh, I already know, because you might not.
Yeah, there's one thing about the great outdoors is you do not know everything, and the best day outdoors is when you can learn something new.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know I talk to some people at different range days, and I'm like, you know what? You probably have forgotten more than I'll ever know about this industry, or about how to instruct, or how to make somebody feel comfortable. So if you ever stop learning, you're kidding yourself.
Oh,
you're setting yourself up.
Yes, absolutely. What was the first thing you ever harvested?
The first thing I ever harvested was actually a muley doe.
That was up north.
It was actually down central Alberta, where my husband had grown up, and I was actually out with my husband and one of his best friends at the time, or I guess he's still one of his best friends. And we were driving around, and it was like, okay, we're gonna go and we're gonna fill this tag. And I had two of them telling me instructions at the same time, which is not what you should do.
Right. Instructions in
Right?
stereo are sometimes hard to hear.
Well, and that's just it. You're already nervous. You're excited. I had buck fever like you wouldn't believe, even on a doe. I was excited. I was nervous. I was everything. And then when I actually pulled the trigger and seen the actual completion, everything come to completion there, and the animal draw, I was like, okay, now, and that was when I got hooked. It was right there, done.
Yep. I want to feel that again. I want to experience that again.
Yeah. What's the next thing? Let's go. And I was maybe a little bit trigger happy and shot a bunch of coyotes after that and kept going, and I haven't really stopped.
Yeah, and you know
I
what?
haven't stopped since.
Being trigger happy is a good thing, because the more trigger time you have, the more accurate you are, the more you're familiar with the gun, the quicker you can engage a target. Trigger time is magic for anyone that wants to up their game. Spend more time at the range, spend more time, find something else to hunt, shoot predators, do different things to get out in the field and experience more of it.
Exactly. And a variety is always amazing. I took that challenge, and I went and never stopped, and actually ended up being the first woman to get every big game animal in Alberta because of that. And in 2019, when I was able to take my cat, that was the last one I needed for that species, for that whole kind of slam. And it's amazing to say that, you know what, I've done that. I can do that. And you can too. Anybody can.
Absolutely. From climbing the mountains to chasing hounds to being secretive and stalking animals on your own, there's no reason why anybody can accept that challenge and rise to the occasion. Absolutely.
Be adaptable. Learning how to take, how would you word that? An upset, right? Maybe you had a blown stalk. Maybe you found something, there's another animal between you and the animal, your target animal. How do you get around it? How do you adapt? How do you outsmart that wildlife? It's huge. It's huge to see how everybody can adapt and overcome.
Yes, the best hunters are the ones that have had the most blown stalks.
Right?
Right?
And it just makes it, when you actually get to pull the trigger and fill your tag, that much more of a sweeter sensation.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're saying is very inspirational, Cathy, because, a lot of other women in Alberta that are thinking about getting into hunting they're like, oh, I hope to get a deer or this or that. But you know what? Anyone that puts their mind to it can climb that mountain. You can pack out the stuff you need. You can take things to the next level. Don't be timid or intimidated by the things that are out there. We're very blessed to live in Alberta, have a multitude of species to hunt that other people in the world are very envious about. So, I think you're a great one to speak about the opportunities, and anyone can do it.
Anyone can do it. Like my husband always says, don't let fear and common sense stop you.
I think we have a lot in common. Yes.
I know there's sometimes, even when you're up on a mountain or, you're tracking an elk in a river valley and your head down, you're going hard, and all of a sudden you look up and you're like, how the heck did I get here? Like, that's pretty sketchy.
Yeah. Or how the heck do I get the elk out of here?
Right. Well, you always look at that as an option B.
Right.
Call some more people with some more backpacks and get them in there to help you. There's always a way of getting that elk out.
Yeah, I've always been a firm believer in that too. You worry about that after you're successful, because there's always a way.
There's always a way, whether you got to beat a new trail in or even one time I was at work and I got a call, hey, what time are you off work? Well, this time. Okay, well, there's an elk dead in the river valley and I'm going to need help packing it out. And they did 6 different trips up and down by themselves. Started with full quarters and ended up down to roast in their pack back by the time they were done because they were just so exhausted.
Yep.
But yeah, called some extra people in and we got that elk out. So
Yes, I've been on a couple of those retrieval brigades too, that you find out who your friends are and where you stand in the pecking order of being able to help out.
Right? Exactly. So, no, it's always awesome to be there and to reach out and know and be a part of that community, because the outdoor world seems vast. When you first start, it could be intimidating with how many different facets and how big and extreme you could get, but it's really not. The outdoor community is one of my favorites because everybody looks out and helps each other. If you find another fellow outdoorsman in the bush and you have a broken machine or you have a down animal or whatever, they're the first people that are going to help you.
It's kind of an unwritten code, isn't it? Like when you run into somebody that needs help, you rise to the occasion. It is.
You might, it doesn't matter what you were doing or where you were going, you're gonna stop and you're gonna help. Maybe it's just a matter of offering a water bottle. Maybe it's changing a tire, or maybe it's pulling somebody out of the bush. It's
funny you say that, because I always carry a tow chain and an extra backpack, and I don't know how many times I've pulled people out of the ditch or helped them retrieve something out of the bush that to this day, I still don't know their names, but it happened.
But you made that lasting impression on them, and I guarantee you they probably are paying it forward and are like, you know what? Somebody took the time to help me. Now I'm going to help them.
Absolutely. I always like to think that the friendliest people in the world wear camouflage.
Right? You might not see us coming, but we'll be there.
That's right.
This podcast was made possible by Alberta Conservation Association and the Harvest Your Own community. If you're interested in harvesting your own food, there's a comprehensive collection of information to gain insight and knowledge. Head to the field, harvest your own protein, prepare it, and taste the results. HarvestYourOwn.ca is a library of information from getting started and geared up to processing, butchering, and cooking wild game to make the connection between health and food.
Now, you've harvested all the different big game species in Alberta and a bunch of birds, and you're avid in the fishing world. How important is wild game in your diet?
It is pretty much the main factor of our diet. It's huge. It's lean meat. It's always fresh and healthy. And honestly, if you're at our house, you're going to be eating wild game.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. And actually, we have people that come to our house specifically to be able to eat wild game.
I wanted to ask you that question because being raised on a Black Angus farm, I mean, Black Angus beef is like AAA. It's an Alberta special, right? It's as good as it gets in the world. You order a bone-in rib steak from Black Angus raised in Alberta, and you've got one extreme quality piece of meat. So you were born and raised in an environment where I could simply say you were spoiled, but
yes.
Your diet soon changes when you become a hunter and you appreciate what it is.
It is. And I don't know if it tastes better because I harvested it or if it's just in my head, but I do find that a good moose steak, a good elk steak is just as good as a Black Angus steak.
I agree with you. Yeah.
I might have to duck my dad for saying that, but it's true. It's true.
It is true.
You crave it.
It is true, and I also say that I still enjoy a Black Angus steak. Like, I'm not against beef farming. I think because we have ranchers in Alberta, we are lucky to sustain and maintain a huge amount of wildlife habitat. So hats off to our farmers and ranchers because
absolutely,
they're the base of what we love to do in our spare time and most of our life.
Yeah, well, and a lot of farmers are hunters as well. They live out in the country, and they get that's their whole hometown kind of thing, right? Like, that's their backyard. So a lot of hunters I know are farmers and ranchers. And they have a good variety in their freezers too.
Yeah, exactly. Variety is the spice of life.
Right?
It is. Now, I have to ask this question. You probably know I ask this a lot. What's your favorite wild game recipe?
Oh, my wild game recipe would have to be chicken fried anything.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what you got, you can chicken fry it. You can chicken fry fish, you can chicken fry chicken, you can chicken fry red meat.
It's true.
So, and if you have somebody that's a picky eater, you chicken fry something for them, and then they're ready to go.
Smother it with gravy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Always.
You know, it's funny.
Always.
It's funny you picked that one because I was in Africa this spring and I did chicken fried hippo steaks. And I had 4 PHs around the fire, and they had never tried it, and they loved it. Like their eyes lit up, and one of the young PHs actually ate 4 steaks.
See, I'm telling you, they're probably thinking about it now.
Yes.
And then they're like, "Woo."
Well, we might have to reach out and get your recipe in case it's a little bit different than what most people make, but I think you've got a winner there.
Yeah, chicken fried. Nobody can go wrong with chicken fried.
I'm going to bounce back to your mentorship and training people. You put on a host of different programs and events. I'm going to say across Western Canada because it certainly isn't just in your home community.
No, it's not. We reach out everywhere. Yep.
So how do people get involved? How could someone take part of it? What do you call it? What is it? And how do people learn more about it?
Well, for the main one we do, it's called Untamed Wilderness. And you can follow us on social media. You can reach out to myself or my partner that I co-founded it with is Diane Hunter. And we'll let you know when an event's coming up. If there's an event near you that you think would benefit from it, you can always reach out to us as well. And we can see what we can do to organize something in your community. We post everywhere on social media is a huge one. Is that what we really rely on to get our word out there is social media. So we actually have a fishing event coming up on the 29th and 30th. We're going to go laker fishing at Cold Lake.
Nice. It's been on fire this summer.
That's what I've heard. So I'm pretty excited. I haven't been on it this year, so pretty excited.
Now, are your events open to women and their kids, or just women? What is it that you focus on?
We focus a lot on the women's side of things to do it, but we do special family events where you can have the youth and their dads come, or a full family can come. And then even on the women events, if there's a kid that wants to join, like a mom and their kids that want to come and we can accommodate them, we're going to accommodate them. We'll never say no to anybody. We'll make sure as much as we can to accommodate everybody.
That's pretty awesome. I really want to reiterate that whether you're a single entity out there wanting to get into hunting or shooting or experience the first time, or whether you have a group of ladies that wants to take things to the next level, this is a great opportunity to reach out and have somebody come to you, or you can go to them and get that mentorship and training. You also have most of the equipment people are going to need to experience things, right?
Absolutely. Especially for range days. I bring all my own firearms for range day and archery. So in that way, we can make sure people have the opportunity to learn on a variety. Fishing side of things, if I don't have the tackle, I make sure we have a guide or a resource that does have the tackle, so we can make sure everybody is covered. If you don't have it, we will make sure you have it so that you can enjoy it and learn.
Outstanding. Yeah. I've known Diane Hunter for a number of years too, and the two of you are doing an outstanding job in being ambassadors for the entire hunting community, reaching out, lending that helping hand, and it's not always a helping hand. Sometimes it's a hand up too. So, This is for a different level of skill and desire, and anyone that's got any inkling at all about trying shooting or hunting for the first time or taking it to the next level, they really should look you up.
I appreciate that. You're making me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Well, I'm sure I wanted to make you also feel like the she alpha, because, the alpha female in any pack is really important in terms of direction and where people head and where they're going. And having somebody in our community in Alberta to help set that direction within people that are really, I'll say they're wandering or not sure of where to go right now, it's special. I mean, that doesn't occur everywhere in North America.
Yeah, it's just my biggest thing is I wanted to be a resource that I wish I would have had when I first started.
Absolutely.
So
That's a great inspiration to get going and make sure you cover all the bases.
yes, yeah. Here's hoping. Here's hoping I can be that for somebody.
Well, I have a feeling that if there's something missing, you're going to find out what it is and how to plug the hole.
I'm trying. We're working on it slowly yet surely.
Yep.
If I can't, I will find a resource to help me to do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. The world is run by those that show up.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you've shot all the big game in Alberta. You've shot the Super 10 of horned game.
Yep.
What are your next aspirations?
My next aspirations is going to be, in short, to conquer Canada. I want to hunt or fish in every province and territory in Canada. So I will be going from coast to coast, border to border, and doing something, finding something to do, so I can say I've done that in that province, or in that territory.
I love the concept and I love the name. I think you should start a certificate program where people can conquer Canada and send you a picture of a game or a fish taken in each province and territory and get a special certificate showing their geographical accomplishments.
Ooh, I love that idea.
I think it'd be great. I know I'd be after one.
Right? I think that'd be awesome.
Yes. How active are your kids in the hunting community?
All our kids are active in the outdoors. Some of them, our second son is in school currently studying law, so he has had to take a huge hit on his hunting season. He can't just skip school for 2 weeks to go sheep hunting anymore. He has to stay in college. But they're all super active, and they all actually, it's funny because they've all grown up in the same environment where they've had the opportunities to hunt in different facets, whether it be archery, rifle, shotgun, waterfowl, big game, blah, 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 or fish, right? Open water, ice fishing, lakes, rivers, and they all have their own preference. None of them are the same, which is weird, but they all have their own preference. Our oldest son loves moose and elk, and that's where he's at. Our second son, if you asked him about sheep hunting, he'd be all over you. Our oldest daughter loves her deer hunting, but she really loves ice fishing. We've always called her the ice princess. Ever since she was like 2 years old, she used to line her little dollies up on the couch and give them pencils and tell them to watch their bobber and work their line.
Yep.
And then our youngest one, if it's waterfowl hunting, she is there. She is all over it. So it's interesting. They each have their own facet within the outdoors. They all love all of the different aspects, but they all have their preference.
They were all raised and allowed to be individuals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
How special. Yeah.
And lucky. They're spoiled. I might have been spoiled on a Black Angus farm, but they're spoiled to have been able to have that many opportunities.
We are very blessed in Alberta, aren't we?
Oh, we're second to none.
Yes, I agree with you.
There's no other place in the world that compares to here.
Cathy, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook under Cathy Wolf, Instagram, She Also Wolf, or you can find me in the bush on a lake.
That's the best answer we've ever had.
You'll find me somewhere. If you spend enough time outside, you'll see me.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I want to thank you for taking the time to share your information, your personal story, and for being an outstanding mentor. And I really do love that Conquer Canada certificate program.
Yeah, I really like that. I'm going to start digging into that side.
Yes. Well, thanks for joining us on Harvest Your Own. And I look forward to the day where I can run into you in the bush, and hopefully I can offer you a tow or a bottle of water, or just be somebody there to help take some pictures.
Well, I thank you for inviting me to partake in this. And when we do meet up on the path, I do have Byron as my husband, so the fact that we might need a tow is guaranteed. But taking pictures is a definite must.
Sounds great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We hope to inspire people to reconnect with nature and appreciate where your food comes from by harvesting your own. For more information on getting started or to learn specifics about the Field to Fork experience, visit harvestyourown.ca and follow on Facebook and Instagram. Check back often for new material, recipes, and videos that are posted regularly. Please subscribe to Harvest Your Own podcast and take the time to rate and review the show to help us build a dedicated core of passionate hunters as our regular audience. Until next time, embrace the outdoors and all it has to offer. Thanks for joining us.